Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my fellow YouTubers, Facebookians. Welcome to another video of Aries' personal video blog. I've had some people tell me that they enjoy my videos on me and Aaron's joint channel, but they also, some of them are subscribed to this one, and they said, well, I know you'll get to transgendered issues, so tonight I'm just going to tackle it because Christmas is almost around the corner, and I'd like to get this out of the way. Now, a lot of people have asked me, for male to females and female to males, if it is worth the money for a sex change. Now, I'm going to break down the female to males first. Female to males, you see the therapist just like the male to females. You're paying a boatload of money to see a psychologist to diagnose you as transsexual. So once you're diagnosed, they can give you a referral to a hormonal specialist who will get you on testosterone, which is for female to males, or estrogen for male to females. Again, those medications are expensive. Once you get into those, you have to take them for life. They also give you some side effects, like testosterone will give you beard and male characteristics, and females will feminize you and give you feminine characteristics. But for female to males, you gain a beard, you gain a hairy chest and body hair, and fats distributed in different places. Whereas male to females, the fat's distributed to your hips and thighs, you grow breast growth, and it doesn't work for your voice. The female to males, the voice goes deep. The male to female sometimes have to go through voice surgery or go to voice training, which again costs money for the overall on the sex change, which is the topic. Is a sex change worth it? Once you get past those things, then you got the surgical procedures to start. Now I'm doing female to males because it's more expensive. First, they gotta remove your uterus and ovaries and breasts. Sometimes they want a more masculine chest, so they can give you male pec implants. Once that is done, you start developing more masculine, or, you can go to a gym, you can do this, but you still have your vagina, as a lot of people say. Well, what happens? Well, there's a very expensive procedure, they have to remove all that, then they gotta close up the vagina and build a penis. Sometimes they can make the penis have blood and all that stuff, but it doesn't function. It won't get a girl pregnant. They have to put in a penile implant after all the surgery's done and you're healed, or they can do it in between. I can't remember. I'm not female to male. Once you do it, then you gotta pump it to have sex. And one guy who went from male to female to male said, at least it doesn't break. It will always work. True, but you had to go through 2 sex changes. Now, you can reverse the sex change, but you'll never ever be a complete man again. Mind you. Now, female to males, once it's all done, the overall could be between $75,000 and $250,000. You gotta ask yourself, is it worth it? Insurance usually doesn't cover it. I hear in other countries it does, but in this country, the sex change is all elective. Right. Now, male to females are more complicated, but they say, oh, well, we're cheaper. We're going to become real women. Well, that's not the case. It's not cheaper. Now, I'll let you tell you how. Now, facial feminization surgery, once you've had your estrogen, you get to choose facial feminization surgery, breast augmentation. I've heard some women, they die 5 to 10 years after having the sex change. They remove a part of the rib to make your more female frame. And that is dangerous. This is what I've heard. Don't quote me. I'm only quoting Aaron. Now, once they've had the hormones for a year or so and they've had enough breast tissue, they say give it 2 years, they give you a breast augmentation. Then they can do your face. Once the face is done, say you're an older person, you need a facelift. Facelift is not a one-time thing. No. You got to redo it. Eventually, you'll be doing like Liz Taylor. You have to have your face revised. Your nose might be done, your eyes might be done, your face has been shaved down, might be done once. You might be female, but eventually, the problem is that is just one of the extra costs every few years, 5 to 10 years or 15 years, where you have to redo your face. But that's not all. Male to females, if you watch my previous video, breast augmentation, they got to take out the implants every 7 to 12 years and replace them. Now, if you don't have the money for it, your breast will sag, and eventually they might have to do some surgery to lift it up when you do have the money. And once it's lifted up, they got to put in the implants again. And then they got to do the work, so you get a breast lift and implants. but that doesn't last. Again, also, I've heard that your hormones kick in overdrive between 35 and 45. So unless you go in and you have prostate cancer, don't mind that. Prostate cancer, that's my Gmail notifier. You won't get your prostate removed and your hormones are still producing. Now with female to males, if you remove all that stuff, you have very, very little female estrogen in your body. You're just flowing with testosterone, from what I understand. Male to females, you're still producing natural hormones, even if you take hormone blockers, even if you're on high doses of estrogen, even after your vaginoplasty. Now, vaginoplasty is fairly inexpensive compared to phalloplasty, which is the building of a penis. Problem is, if you all this up, oh, and did I mention with the male to females, while you're going through your hormone treatment and waiting to get your breast implants and your facial surgery, you must have electrolysis or laser. It's not permanent. They say electrolysis is, but I've known transsexuals after 15 years have had to go in and get a touch up here and there. And that equals between $50 and $75 an hour. Laser, it's $400 to $600 an hour. And they go, and then every 4 weeks, then 5 weeks, then 6 weeks, and gradually longer, you have less hair. But if you don't take care of your hair problem, it'll come back. Even with hormones, it thins it out. So, is it worth it? Well, let's just say, if you go in, if you're a genetic woman, you got to get breast augmentation revisioned. If you're a male to female, you still got to get your breast augmentation revision. Oh, don't forget, the genetic woman, if she wants facelift, is going to have to redo it again unless she says the hell with it. Eventually, the male to female either will die of suicide because they can't have anyone, or they will. By the way, the female to males I've talked to, they're all gentlemen and sweethearts, all of them. Male to females like to deceive, but this isn't about the deception. It's about the sex change. Is it worth it? Male to females have to get their breast revisioned and their facelift done periodically, which costs money. So overall, have you dipped into your retirement, you might need to save $2 or $3 million to make sure you can live your life complete as yourself for that amount of time for the rest of your life. Eventually, what if you lose your job? What if the Hispanics come up here and they take all the jobs? All this is not factored in for your retirement or your job. So eventually you'll be sitting there trying to figure out how you're going to get your hormone shots, how you're going to do your breast revisions. A lot of them want to go out and find a rich guy so they can pay for it. But a guy's not going to want a transsexual woman who's had the sex change just so they can get their breast augmentation done while they eat bonbons, watching soap operas, cooking, cleaning, and doing their hair up nicely so they can say, oh, look at me, I did my hair up nicely for you. Well, the guy's working his butt off. Now, he'll want a genetic woman. Maybe he'll want to have a kid. Maybe he's want to not have a kid and have a prenuptial so the woman doesn't get jacked. Maybe if he dies, he leaves all the life insurance policy to someone else. But that's not what I'm talking about. You got to look at the overall cost of the sex change. Female to males, there's not many revisions after they're complete. Male to female, it's always 7 to 12 years breast augmentation and facelifts. So if you look at the overall picture, what are you going to do when you're 90 years old in a nursing home and they have your money and you need your breasts done again, but you can't? You're screwed. You're just going to say, well, let me die with my breast sagging just like an old woman has in her 80s, you know. So you got to look at the overall picture. Is it worth it? For most transsexuals it is, but they don't look at the overall cost. Here's another thing. I've talked to many male to female post-operatives that once they've had their sex change, they run out to find a guy, even in a bar, while they're drunk, and get laid. The guy finds out and he gets pissed. But this isn't about deception. They say, oh, well, I didn't feel anything. It's like this. And then you're trying to ejaculate, but you can't because, well, you're trying to relieve yourself. You can't. Some say, oh, well, it's in the head that you're feeling psychosomatics for the orgasm. You're not feeling anything. I've talked to plastic surgeons that's done this surgery that say it's all in the head. Next. Then you have the problems with the vaginoplasty. Once it's done, whether it be the the Sigmund colon version or the regular version, you still get infections. Mostly urinary tract infections, UTIs. And you got to go and see a doctor or... the other one is the doctor was telling me is yeast infections. Then you got to get it taken care of. Then you get better. Then it comes back. That's another thing that the transgendered people does not talk about. There you have it. Is it worth the sex change? Yes. Will you find someone? Who knows? I've met women that's had their surgeries 30 years ago and they're still single. Guys don't want them, even if they look genetic. A lot of them, you know, and there's ways of telling, even if you've had the surgeries. So, the best bet is, for all of you transsexuals out there, and I'm not discouraging you from having it done, just look at the overall picture. Will it tap into your retirement, or you're going to have to bust your butt for 50 years just so you can maintain your feminine appearance till you're dead? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anything bad's going to happen or nothing. I'm just saying look at the overall picture. The Bible says you cannot foretell the future. That is true. You can sit there and say, next year I'm going to go do all this fly fishing and camping and stuff. What if next year never rolls around? You're dead from a car accident. Just please look at the overall cost. That is what I got to say about is sex changes worth it. You determine. If you have any comments or suggestions, please feel free to put me in my place. Just know, if you're negative on it, I will ban you and remove your comment. Now, if you're positive and didn't think of the overall pictures, or you were already told by your doctor, that is fine. Most doctors, some don't tell you because they want your business in 5 to 10 years, so they don't tell you, and then you look online or read a book about it, and then you find out and you talk to the doctor in a consultation, he says, yes, you must have them revised in 2 years. Then, you know. Oh, and for these people out there that's had these 2,000 cc breast implants to 3,000, you all look like frickin' porn stars. Hookers, escorts, and everyone else. Breasts do not make a woman. The mind makes a woman. I took a test today on Facebook, and it says I've got, I think, 94% woman, 6% male. I had a friend that took the same test. It was 64% male, 34% female. Or, 36% female. And they're a genetic girl, so that tells you there. With that said, everyone, just look at the overall costs. That's all I'm asking. Is it right or wrong? We can debate that till the cows come home. If you want me to do a video on that, please let me know. Please add and subscribe if you like, post comments and feedback. Thank you, and may God bless the world.